Hey guys, what's good? You are watching Cat's Corner episode 10. And today we're going to talk about indie comics and collecting those. But before we get started on the topic of the day, Cat found out some interesting news about graded books.
Well, it's not that it's interesting. It's something something's been happening where a lot of guys are signing exclusives, mostly with CBCS, because everybody seems to be disenchanted with CGC. I don't know why, but one of the latest additions this week was last week was Rob Liefeld. So, great for Rob. Great guy. I know him and I love his stuff. But from a fan perspective, man, if
I love everything except his feet.
But if you're a fan of CGC, I mean, if you just want to have a CGC, those days are gonna be gone. And I see it as a power play on CBCS's part, trying
Absolutely.
to compete with CGC. But again, you're competing with 15 years of market value,
Right.
You know what I mean, with market brand name. So it's hard. It's a lot of fans. I've had a couple of conversations this past week with people just getting all pissed off, and they're like, "Man, I'm spending all this money, and it's like now I got to go through another company that I don't really care for."
Right. And that's we talked about it earlier and you guys missed it, but
because it was silent.
there's a branding thing, and there's people out there who only exclusively collect CGC stuff. So if they're a big fan of Rob Liefeld and wanted to get some of their stuff graded, they're gonna be it's just an inconvenience more than anything, and it's kind of it sucks if that's what you're into. But like I was saying before, if you're a collector and you're not planning to resell, it shouldn't be that big a deal.
But even so, even you're a collector, I mean, I feel that you want to get what has more worth, and I don't think CBCS and at any point is going to catch up to the value CGC has. Just for the simple fact that they got 15 years plus head start, and again, as somebody being in business for 20, 30 years, albeit I might not be the greatest businessman or whatever, up and down, left and right. But when you're open, you start something fresh and then you sell your company. I don't know. To me, that's not a good sign when somebody.
Key detail: CBCS was just purchased by Beckett.
By Beckett Enterprise, and Beckett has deep pockets. But again, not a fan of that kind of shenanigans. I think
understandable, yeah. So makes you think where the original owner's heart was at if he was able to dump his company so quickly.
Exactly.
I know he was a former CGC.
Yeah, he was one of the original guys that started CGC.
Right, so.
And whatever and again, I've always said, this industry is based on egos. So
yeah.
Maybe his ego got hurt. I don't know, whatever. But yeah.
Anyways, something to look out for, guys. Just if you didn't know,
more and more guys you're gonna see guys do exclusive with CBCS probably just because CGC won't do it. They don't need to do it, and they're looking at competing with CGC, and that's about the only way they can.
And if you're wondering this whole time what the hell we're talking about, CGC is a grading service where you send in your books, and then they basically look at it and verify what condition the book is in, and they give it a number from 0.1 all the way up to 10.0. And 10.0 is a unicorn. These
9, 10s.
Yeah, they don't exist. So
I got a 9 once.
Did you?
Yeah, on a Detective 27 Mu 52. I was like, whoa.
They're rare. They're unicorns basically. So 9.8 is usually that's the standard for that's usually top of the line. And you'll see like a difference in price between a 9.4 or 9.6 to a 9.8, like a big drop in price. So value. So it's just a service that people like to use now. If you want to look into the history of it, it has to do with some bogus comic stores. Cat, you'd come into the store and say, hey, and he'd tell you this book that he was selling you was a 9.8. But in reality, it was like an 8.0, and
what the hell did I ever do that? When?
Well, no, not you, but there were other stores that were doing that.
Look,
the guy would upsell his book at a different condition. Then if you tried to sell him your book, he would be like, this is like a very fine.
But that's when you study, you teach yourself the grading.
Right.
That you can find out these things. I mean,
but CGC stepped in and as a middleman and said, hey, you know what, guys? We're going to be independent of this and give you guys our own. So now it's accepted. Like if they give a number, people accept that number.
Yeah. For the most part.
Yeah. But anyway,
yeah.
so the topic of the day is indie comics. So a lot of people out there, you want to get into comic books, you like the artwork, you're really interested in this different type of storytelling, but you're maybe
not feeling the superhero.
No,
vibe.
you're feeling too old for the pajamas and the spandex.
Stop it.
Well, that's what it is. Capes and spandex.
I'm not going to sell you pajamas then tomorrow on Wednesday.
Capes and spandex. People,
$7.97, Amazing Spider-Man. If you want your pajamas, make sure you pick it up this week.
But so there's a different alternative way of storytelling through the comic book medium, and these are the indie comics. Your Image books, your
IDW,
Dark Horse, your Boom comics, so on and so forth. There's a bunch of different companies that are doing these books. A lot of them are alternative stories, like you might want sci-fi, crime. There's even romance books. There's everything.
Everything
for every kind of reader, every kind of collector out there. And I think that it's something that we want to talk about because there are people out there who are interested.
And
in
we
these
always
books.
been talking about superheroes.
And we pretty much always talk
honestly, given the market and what the stories are, you can't help it. I mean, on a dollar sense, Spider-Man's going to outsell anything, but that doesn't mean the other side isn't worth reading.
No, there's quality books out there for you to read and for you to enjoy. So, Kat, what's a book that
it's one that we talked about. Is like, okay, what are we gonna do next show? And it was one of those things like, man, we got to talk about the indie, but I don't have time to read indies, but I'm gonna make a point to. Because there's good stuff, and a lot of people recommend, and they say, "Cat, you got to read this, you got to read that." I had one of my longtime customers and friends, Moranzio Vance. He's a comedian. Look him up. Funny stuff. But he mentioned Black Hammer from Dark Horse by
Jeff
Lemire, and I know the book is good because everybody keeps telling me you got to read, and they have a bunch of spinoffs. So there is good product out there outside of your Spider-Man, out of your Thanos, whatever it is, Batman, all that. It's just, for me, it's an issue of actually stepping away from the pajamas, like you said, and going to something else. But I grew up with pajamas. When I read, that's all it was. It was just men in tights, basically.
And it's not really I guess what I'm saying is there's people out there.
No, I
there
get
are new
you.
people that want to jump in that maybe they feel too old to.
I've been doing this for quite a minute. I know, I see it, I've been labeled a Marvel fanboy early in the show because, God forbid, quality sells, and I gotta, I'm not just stating a fact. Shit's better. It's as simple as that. But there is, like we said, and there's a couple of things I want to, mention. Like, you got a few books this week, and we're probably going to touch up in our picks for the week.
Right.
But you have, and it's a no-brainer, but again, I got to be careful because you got Oblivion Song coming out of Image, which is another Kirkman book.
Right. Robert Kirkman is the writer,
daddy of Walking Dead,
creator of Walking Dead.
But at the
very
same time,
rich man right now.
But at the same time, Outcast came out #1, same family, but it didn't go anywhere.
Right.
But it still sounds like an interesting premise. I want to check that out.
Outcast, the one that got made into
the show on Showtime,
Cinemax,
Cinemax, but it didn't help the product.
Right. No, well, it's because it's Cinemax.
Then so check that. There's also Omnipress has a lot of good stuff, and this week one of the books I'm looking forward to is Ballad of Sang. It sounds interesting. It's about a kid in the Philippines, get abducted. He's really young in the age, gets trained to be an assassin, a child assassin. It almost makes me, I'm reading the premise, and one of the things that caught me is I want to read it because you got a little bit of Daredevil in it. You got a little bit of John Wick in there, and I'm a big John Wick fan. And it seems like to have a lot of action, and it's written by Ed Brisson, which writes over at Marvel. He's doing Iron Fist, which I love martial arts, and it's like, wow, I got to give this a read.
Yeah.
Just because it sounds interesting, and I have to but I have to give something else besides the Men in Tights a shot because there's good stuff out there.
There's a lot of good stuff out there, and Walking Dead is probably that's the biggest indie book ever, and it's turned into. It's a part of American culture now.
Right, yeah, because of the TV show. But even before then, you have books like Cerebrus, that by Dave Sims, it was for a different audience, but that book was one of the longest running independent books. Right. It started way back in the 80s.
We could talk about Bone, too. We could talk about...
there's so much other great stuff out there. But currently, Walking Dead is the staple of the everybody on the independent market aspires to get up there with Walking Dead.
Right,
you know?
exactly. A book that I'm a fan of that I've been reading since it came out is an Image book called Saga by Brian K. Vaughan. It's a Cat doesn't seem to be a fan, but it's a sci-fi book, and it's about these. It's kind of got a Romeo and Juliet.
Star Wars in space.
Yeah,
Romeo and Juliet type of
Romeo and Juliet. Like these two rival planets that have been fighting. They've been having a war for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years. Two of the people from the planets get together, and they have a child together, and now they have to they're trying to escape because their two planets are trying to chase them down to take them out and kill the child. You know, this is an abomination because they hate each other so much, and it kind of goes through. It's got a lot of interesting characters, and it goes through their journey trying to save the child and survive themselves. And I'm a big fan. Cat apparently.
It's just sound. No, I mean it's. I gotta look. When he started writing Why the Last Man, which this book almost sounds almost the same premise, you know, everybody said, dude, it's a great book. It's a great book. You got to read it. And I read it, but honestly, it moved too slow. And by the end of the series, I mean, especially the last 15, 20 issues, they could have been done without. But, you know, hey.
Well, that's Why the Last Man.
But, you know, again,
yeah.
Mr. Vaughn, and he's a great writer. And, you know,
it's a different kind of story.
Different for
and
everybody.
It's something to check out. I mean, I know my sister's not really a big comic book fan, but she loves the series, you know.
I got a lot of friends like that that just read Saga, which is great, man. I mean, again, the idea is to buy print. It's support print. And again, with all the bombardment of superhero movies and everything else, it's always good to see something else out there being liked by fans.
Absolutely.
Again, IDW has some stuff, you know, worth looking at. I mean, this week I think they got this. This week you got this new book, Spider King, coming out, which is a cross. It's like almost. It's medieval, and I forget the premise of it, but it looked in when I did the solicitations. It looked right up my alley. Swords, sorcery, stuff like that. Celtic warriors, Vikings. I'm like, dude, I gotta read this. So there's a lot of good. Indie market has a lot to offer. Don't be disenchanted by the superhero. I mean, don't. Yeah, I get it. The bombardment is there. Avengers Infinity is gonna just add more to it. But again, it makes money. It gets people to the door, whether you like superheroes or not. Give a chance to something else. Don't just say, I'm tired of superheroes. Great. Here, let me give you something else. There's A through Z.
There's a lot of different stories out there. Horror is really huge in the indie market. Like Cullen Bunn has been writing a lot of stuff. I think last week Pumpkinhead came out,
right?
Based on the classic horror movie.
Yeah,
you know, there's a lot of books like that. If you're into horror, that it's different.
There's something
and
for
there's
everybody.
things and there's things you can get away with in the comic book medium that you can't do on films anymore.
Right. Oh, definitely.
And that's a great thing. If you're a big fan of horror, you know, check out some of these horror books out there.
And that's a lot of the guys that write for the big for the big guys. So this is their chance of telling their stories. You know, maybe getting that TV or movie deal. So you see a lot of love in the product done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes the art lacks because, again, you can only afford so much. But you got to give it a chance. You can't just say, oh, you know, I'm done. No. Pick it up, read it, look at it. You know, find something for you and support. You know, you're missing on stuff, basically.
Yeah. And if you like crime stuff, like I'm a big fan of Ed Brubaker. He's got a ton of crime books that he does for Image now.
Killed or Be Killed,
Kill or Be Killed is his latest one. You know, and I wondered if he'll be back in the criminal world.
You got Brian Azzarello with Moonshine.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. You know,
Moonshine's about werewolves that are bootleggers.
Yeah. You know, you got Donny Cates with rednecks.
Right.
You know, vampires in Tennessee, they just want to be left alone because they drink cow milk, cow blood, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of stuff by really, really good writers out there, and
it's just stuff like. You can make the argument that the only reason why they're writing for Marvel or DC is because that's their main paycheck.
Oh, I'm a proponent of that shit. Get your paycheck, man. Work.
But so this other indie books that they're doing are their passion projects. It's the thing that they're really, really love, that they're really into. So they might be better.
But again, I mean, if you look if you read their Marvel stuff or DC stuff, you can tell they're putting love into that. I mean, more so maybe with Marvel because they get a little bit more freedom. You can tell that they're like, again, and I'm gonna go back to the well with Donny Cates. I mean, you know, the Thanos for the last 3 issues has been, you can tell he loves the character and he's brought something else to that book. Even Doctor Strange, you know, it's a book that I'm reading now because, you know, it was good before with Jason Aaron, but I don't know, it just didn't quite grab me till he came along. He gave something different, you know.
And part of that I'm wondering is if, like, you know, this is his dream to write for Marvel, so he finally got his shot. And he's knocking out of the park. But
look, he's got a couple of months. He's taking over Venom.
Let the record show that I've been trying to talk about indie comics, and Cat keeps going.
I know we go back to it, but it's got to do with the indie because you know they're coming. They're doing this to promote the indie, and it's like there's good stuff on both sides of the coin.
Yeah,
they're good.
Either way, get out there, check out some of these books, especially if you're just starting out and you don't want to do the DC Marvel route, and you just want to read some good stories. Check out a lot of good indie companies out there with a lot of good stuff. You know, Boom also has got a bunch of great stuff too. So everybody has something across the board and something for everyone.
Yeah.
All right. So this Wednesday, New Comic Book Day, March 7th. We got. I feel like it's a pretty big Marvel week for me.
It's a huge Marvel week. I mean,
but let's start with DC. What do you got?
Honestly, the only thing I saw out of DC this week was Batman 42. Tom King on Batman's been just amazing with that book. That Poison Ivy storyline, the last issue 41 was just amazing. I mean, you know, Poison Ivy's just, you see how badass she could really be,
right?
But then again, you see how badass Batman really is because he manages to outwit her and save him and Catwoman, you know, and not to be controlled. And there's cool things, you know, punching Alfred, but then Flash steps in. You know what I mean? So again, from DC, that's the one for me. Again, you got Image. Where you go?
For me, I actually have a couple picks for.
For DC, because you're doing the variants. I'm doing the story.
So Batman White Knight #6. It's been a hot series so far for whatever reason. Something to check out. You know, that comes out this week. There's 2 covers. Just for those, the variants don't necessarily sell more than the other ones, but you know, if you just pick the cover you like better, I think that's how most people are treating them.
Right.
Then there's also Harley and Ivy meet Betty and Veronica, which is
it Lotai or is it what's his name?
The A cover is Tula Lotai,
but then the B cover is Jay Lee.
Yeah,
it's a knockoff of his Batman Superman for New 52.
And it's a sketch cover. I'm not really a fan of sketch covers myself, but it's a sketch cover. Yeah.
Which one? The A?
The B covers.
No, I saw a color.
No, it's a sketch cover. I saw it on Midtown.
Talking about? No, it's color, bro.
Is it?
Oh. It's beautiful.
Well, anyways, so Jay Lee's got a B cover. From my suggestion, unless you're a Jay Lee fan, don't pick up the B cover. It's not going to do anything. Jay Lee just not. He does not.
B's variant's always under order.
Well, they're under order, but I have. I'm going to tell you right now. I got a box full of Jay Lee covers that nobody touches because nobody cares about Jay Lee. I think his artwork is great, but
he doesn't have a secondary market. It's not there for him.
But Tula Lotai, she's kind of hot right now, and the cover's really nice as well for the A cover.
No, the cover's good on.
You know, and it's just everything with Harley on it. You know, Harley's still hot. A lot of new collectors at shows anyways like Harley.
Yeah.
So it's something to pick up. And the Betty and Veronica thing, they have like their own little thing for Archie fans as well. So it's you know, I don't know what the book's like. I haven't read the guts. It might be a terrible book, but
it's not your best selling book.
No.
I mean it's and again, low print run. If there's anything happening a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 down the line, that low print run is going to help whatever secondary market demand is there.
So you said you got a couple Image books.
There's Gideon Falls coming out this week out of Image. That looked like an interesting premise. Let me get to it real quick, and I didn't mention it in a previous segment, but Gideon Falls. It's got a Lemire cover, a Jock cover, Sorrentino cover. So you got a bunch of covers, and it's you know, it's
me personally. If you're gonna pick one of the covers, I go with the Jock cover. Yeah.
But you're talking, you know, Catholic. Again, seems to be like another horror story in the city type of thing.
Right.
You know, with demons. It just sounds interesting. I'll tell you, it's Jeff Lemire. Yeah. So I can't go wrong with it. And then you got art by Andrea Sorrentino, and those hair, is it a man or a woman? I don't know what it is, but the covers he's been pumping out. They're really great. So the art could be, he was on Secret Boards, right? I don't even know.
I think it's a woman.
It's a woman.
Yeah.
She was on Secret Wars, Secret Empire.
Okay.
And it was a really good arc. I liked it. So
solid art, and then
mystery, urban,
and then
horror.
This is one of the things too. I mentioned it in the episodes before. Maybe you buy 2 of these, you read one, and the other one set it aside.
Don't listen to them.
Or quick flip. There's a thing that's been happening. It hasn't happened so often, but if the premise is strong, a lot of people will invest tons of money into these image number 1s, and you'll see them shoot up to $20-$30, and then a month later they drop down to less than cover price.
Quick breaks. The Marvel Prelude Infinity War book.
Oh, I have that listed when we get to Marvel.
But not the. We're talking about the movie adaptation.
Right, I was going to talk about.
Oh, you're going to talk about it? Okay, because I'm blown away by that book.
Yeah,
and also the other book, again, 2 more books out of Image for me. Walking Dead, I've been reading, and I can't wait for the next issue. And then again, like I mentioned, Oblivion Song number 1 coming out, but that's a no-brainer because everybody's going to chase that book. And then Spider King number 1 out of IDW.
Okay,
keep an eye out for that.
We talked about that in the segment before.
And then Ballad of Sang, also a book I mentioned the segment before from Oni Press. I'm looking forward to those 2 books.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to Marvel then, since we're
big book this week. Amazing Spider-Man 797.
Which one is going to be the first appearance of the Red Goblin?
This is going to be the Red Goblin first appearance because the way it ended last issue, it has to be. There's store exclusive variants that have the Red Goblin on the cover. So this is it. If you got 795, you got 796. Get even
94,
93. It's been great. And don't miss on 97.
If you're trying to resell these things, I would recommend selling them as sets. You can sell all 3 of them. And
good luck if you have them.
If you have them, exactly. But it's something. It's a good flip if you can.
But you might.
797, by the way, is already sold out at distributors, and 795 second print is also sold out.
Oh yeah,
at distributors.
Third print, and it's coming. It's not stopping.
So if you get your hands on those, pick them up because like Cat will tell you, he didn't order a lot of these because he had no idea. You order these 3 months ahead of time?
2 months, and then you got the 2-week. But even so, I mean, with this, I've gone up, but even so, you can't go too crazy.
Right.
You can't go too crazy because you just don't want to sit on shit no more. You got Avengers 683, which, as we know, last issue.
Just a quick on 797. The A cover and the C cover are both sold out. Something to look into.
What's the C cover?
The C cover is...
It's not the connecting cover, right? That's
no,
the B cover.
The B cover.
The C cover is an incentive cover.
Yeah.
And that's going to be...
It's not 1 in 25. It's one of those weird ones. So there's Marvel does this thing sometimes.
Oh, it's a qualifying variant?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So Marvel does these things sometimes where if you ordered so many copies of an issue, was it a few months back?
Percent-wise, you got to match percentage. They'll let you order another cover.
And because of that, a lot of stores don't qualify or don't order it. Or they only order a couple of them, and if you're usually able to find them for cover price on Wednesdays, If they pick them up.
If the guys are not on it,
And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because those are going to be a lower print. Those are always going to be a lower print than the A cover. And something looking, especially, I think it's a Clayton Crane cover.
Right.
So Clayton Crane's got a big following as well.
You got Avengers 683, and like I said,
keep selling out.
That book keeps selling out.
Keep selling out Avengers book.
Issue.
Yeah,
it's insane. And again, as we saw last issue, Bruce Banner. I mean, we knew Bruce Banner's back, but he's really back, and that's leading into the next story. I'm enjoying the Avengers right now. This whole weekly thing, it's pretty badass. It's definitely a must read.
Okay.
The other book for me would be Thanos 13. Third print? Yet another variant cover. That thing just blows my mind because
spoiler alert. Cosmic Ghost Rider is Frank Castle.
I mean, if you don't know by now, I don't know where you're at. There's no Wi-Fi, whatever, internet. But a third print, yet another variant from Marvel. Guarantee is gonna sell out. You might even see a 4th print on this book, honestly. But
like we said before, if it's another print and it's a different cover, pick it up.
Again, not many people are gonna get it. Make sure you grab one if your store. You can have it, or you can pick it up down somewhere else.
Now, I have a book that's based on the film coming out soon, Infinity Countdown #1. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because the Infinity Countdown, was it Prelude?
Oh no,
The Infinity War Prelude.
dude, that's a $15+ book.
These books just came out, and
it's an adaptation.
Yeah.
It's like a link between the movies.
Exactly.
And it's number 2 was selling for $15 last Wednesday.
And for some reason, people are going crazy for these books. It's 1 and 2. Very
low print,
super low print.
print
Nobody orders these books because they usually don't do well. The movie adaptations don't do well.
Yeah, nobody asked for
it. I believe Infinity Countdown is also.
Is the Countdown the one that came out last week with all the hands on the cover? Is that the one you mentioned? Or this is the actual movie.
I think it's the actual movie when it comes down, or it's something. Because if you look at the cover, it's definitely a movie cover.
Well, no, they'll do a variant, but
no, the A cover.
Oh no, this is the Granov. Yeah, no, that came out already. That's the one with all of them on the cover. Yeah, but that's not part of the movie.
Okay, well, it's coming out this week. There's an Adi Granov cover that's sold out.
Oh no, okay. So this is what this is. This is going to be a continuation of the Infinity Prelude that came out last week.
Yeah,
but it's not a movie tie-in.
Okay, well, I don't know.
But still, again, you're going to see more about our Wolverine alive, the Infinity Stones.
Right.
The one I'm mentioning, that's just a movie adaptation.
Right, that's a prelude from last week.
This is part of the ongoing Marvel universe.
Well,
but
either way,
sold out.
Adi Granov cover sold out, and then the John Tyler Christopher trading card cover is sold out as well.
Am I going to see those on your pull list for tomorrow? Maybe.
And speaking of movie adaptations, there's an Ant-Man and the Wasp prelude. So going off of last week, going off of the Infinity War prelude, that's something you might think about. Although Ant-Man obviously is not the biggest MCU movie, but it's something to look at.
Great.
It's sold out as well. Yeah. Something to look at. So that's all I got for Marvel.
And I got one more. I mean, X-Men Red #2.
Okay.
Jean Grey. That #1 was good. Sold out. They got a second print variant coming out this week also. It's good to see X-Men stories being told. Good X-Men stories, because I haven't seen great, but good X-Men story being told again, given the fact that they're gonna fall back into the Marvel movie universe stable. And you missed that because for years X-Men has been, since 1970, 70, when did the 93 come, or Giant Size? Back in the 70s.
Like 76.
76. X-Men's been the Marvel franchise. I mean, 30+ years of Chris Claremont. I mean, dude. And it was great stories. I don't care what people say. It was, even through all the 90s hoopla and all that stuff, X-Men was the bread and butter.
X-Men
it's good to see that again.
X-Men was the biggest Marvel book until the whole movie property thing happened.
Until the 90s.
Once Disney purchased the Marvel X-Men, they kind of tried to tank X-Men, but now they're coming back, and the stories are getting better, and they're trying to get back to where they were before.
Jean Grey's back. Wolverine is back.
Yeah.
Cyclops is going to be back. Next thing you know, you got Uncanny X-Men coming.
So for all you X-Men fans that were sad and you're down on the X books, give it a shot.
It's good stuff.
See what you think.
It's fun.
Yeah. And that's going to do it for us this week, guys. Thanks for watching. You know the drill. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Let us know what you think in the comment section. And we will see you next week.
Put the iPad down. Support a local comic book store. Anywhere you are, buy a comic. Keep it going. Peace.